What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Right now on here, I got Sean Wiggins here with me, also known as a student entrepreneur. He has a YouTube channel as well. Basically, what he does is digital marketing, does website design, social media marketing, everything like that. So, Sean, would you be able to give a quick introduction, like your agency name, like how many employees you're at right now, like what, just like overall, like that you're a student entrepreneur, and like what your background and story is right now?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So basically, where I started, it's been about just under 2 years now that I'm building my agency, and right now it's myself and six. We're six in total, so myself and five staff. They're technically set up as contractors for a couple of reasons, but basically, I kind of work with them as if they were employees. And one of my big things was I was kind of forced to build a team because for a lot of my business journey, I did have to go back and finish up some school just because I was so close to finishing it. So that kind of was a catalyst to actually build a team, and just in order to make it so much more efficient and be able to fulfill the client's needs without actually investing all the hours on my own.
Awesome, man. That's like honestly, that's a super huge achievement. Like when I first found you, and the fact that you were doing so much stuff and getting so much shit done while still in school was just amazing. Because you must have already like only had like a couple hours a day to get this stuff built up, and you just did it like that. And you kind of leverage other people's work to do that. That's why I wanted to get on this. Like I've been wanting to do this for a little bit while. I've been bugging him for a little bit because I felt like the knowledge that he has to share could be really beneficial to you guys. So what I'm going to be really doing in this live stream is trying to get as much out of you as possible. So really, like, what was the
Awesome.
hardest part in getting employees set up and getting things handled and having so little time? Would you be able to just explain a little bit more, like how you actually got that set up with like so little time to work with, how you were still managing to make like a couple $1,000s a month with your agency that was like almost completely passive, honestly?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first person I hired was a developer and then a second developer. So my agency started with building websites. And in the very beginning, I would build them all myself. And then I realized to scale, I couldn't spend half a day messing around with WordPress and code. So I had to outsource that. And in the beginning, I sort of looked at it as like outsourcing, which is kind of a buzzword. But really now I look at it as actually building a high quality team. And so I guess there's two parts. There's the developer part, which was at first, and then there's the digital marketers that I brought on more recently, kind of 6 months or so ago now. And the developers, when I brought them on, I used Upwork, which you guys watching this probably know about. It's an online platform that connects freelancers with business people. And the biggest challenge I found for that was just the sheer amount of, you're going to get a lot of applicants and most of them won't be very good and a few of them will be good. So it's about going through a proper interview kind of process with them. And the best way to do that is to sort of give them a little bit of trial work to do and give them small milestones to work on. And so right near the beginning of my business, within the first couple of months, I did start working with a few developers, and now we have one that's been sort of in-house with us for a year and a half, and he's awesome. And that was the first part. And the second part, which was more challenging, was finding a digital marketer. And when I say digital marketer, this would be the person that would actually be talking with my clients and setting up the campaigns, whether it's Facebook ads, whether it's building landing pages, or even actually managing the website project. So being like the middle person between the client and the developer. So the digital marketer would be doing the graphic design, talking to the client about the specifications, and then managing actually the developer building that project. And it was actually crazy because my decision to go back and finish my master's degree was kind of a last minute thing. I only had kind of 4 or 5 months left and my agency was already up and running, and I was, working 8, 9, 10-hour days. And I was about to go off to something that would also be a 40-hour-a-week commitment. So I was just forced to hire people. And really out of that, I had about kind of 2 to 3 weeks to hire people to take care of all my clients. And it started off simple as putting an ad up on Craigslist and in my local city here, Vancouver. And then I would do phone interviews with them. And then for the second interview, what I did was I gave them a sample project. So At the time, I was working with a couple of real estate agents, and one real estate agent had recently signed on. So basically, the application process was them to design the sales funnel or the lead generation funnel for the real estate agent. So I made them go through that, and then from there, I chose the two that I thought would work best. And they are both still with me, and they've both been really awesome. And I would say that I probably got around 20 applications, and I probably first interviewed 7 or 8 people and second interviewed around 4 or 5. So you really look at the hiring process almost kind of like a sales funnel in itself. You know, a lot of applications, less first interviews, less second interviews, and then you pick the people you hire, because it's going to be a huge cost to you if you bring on the wrong person. So I did the best I could. Having said that, it was my first time really hiring people. So I think I'm kind of lucky it worked out well. And I know next time doing it that I would be even better equipped. And I do plan to continue expanding my team. So that could be just around the corner.
Yeah, solid. So how did you, this is one of the issues that I've faced personally. How did you go about, like, did you have to, like, at the first time, like, hiring the first couple people, did you have to, like, almost be barely making any money, or even, like, going into, like, a little bit of debt to be able to hire these people, just because, like, sometimes it can be, or also, did some of these people have to work, like, a 40-hour work week, or were they flexible with their time? How did that kind of work out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of, I'll answer the first one first, and you're absolutely right. When I hired them, my profit definitely dipped. But here's the thing, with any sort of advancement in your business, whatever it is, any expansion, any new strategy, your revenue is always going to dip in the short term in order for it to really increase in the long term. So that's really something that's unavoidable and you're going to have to accept. And in the beginning, yeah, I mean, I pay them pretty well. And for that did take up a lot of my revenue. And, I would go from making, let's say someone's paying me $500 a month. I would go from making $500 a month myself to maybe only making 100 or 200 of that as profit. But at the time, I had to do that because I was going back to school and I simply didn't have the time. So I wasn't too worried about how much money it's going to make. But also in building my agency bigger and bigger, the only way to actually scale is to have someone else fulfilling the client's goals, and then you just make that margin. And even though that margin is smaller, when you get a lot of clients, the aggregate of all the margins is going to be big, and it's a scalable model where doing it yourself is simply not scalable. So that's the one thing. So I guess the short answer is you just have to accept that it's going to be a hit to your profit for a while and use that to just hustle harder on the sales.
Yeah. Right,
the second part is something that I was worried about as well. I'm like, I can't really commit to paying them for 40 hours a week, because as a new agency, some weeks you have more clients, sometimes a client's going to leave, sometimes you're going to get new clients on board. So your work is always going up and down, it's always fluctuating. And what I did to overcome that actually was really simple. I just told them that legally speaking, you're a contractor to my business and hours are going to be variable. I'm going to try to give you a minimum of 10 hours a week. And I hired 2, so that's 20 hours a week. So that was just the expectation I set. And remember, this was a remote work situation for my contractors. So they were also like into digital entrepreneurship and working from their laptop. So that was a huge asset for them. And yeah, they also have a couple other contracts that they work with. So I'm working with my agency, North Digital, is just kind of one of 3 jobs they have. And it is a balance act. I mean, I would never want to have them get 0 hours of work a week, because then they're not making any money. So you just kind of have to try to match the people you hire with the demand. And I guess it's more of an art than a science. It's just, you kind of try to balance it out. Okay. And the last thing I would say, I think it's a good idea to actually hire 2 people in the beginning for a couple of reasons. One of them is that if you hire 2 people, then if one of them's not doing well or it's not working out, they're unable to manage the client, if it's your fault and that you've designed a poor system, or if it's their fault and they're just not doing a good job. Because if you have 2 of them and they're both struggling, it's going to be on you. But if one's doing well and one's not doing well, that it's on the person. So you get a lot more insight from hiring 2 over 1. And the second thing is that if one of them leaves, because they're both on variable hours, the other one could just take on the person who left work to make up that capacity. So it's less risk as well.
Okay, that's super solid advice, and that's really what I like about what you've done, is because now you have, even though it took you longer probably to get to that point, and it was a lot more difficult, now you have a business that you can actually scale up a lot faster than somebody that's just like doing all their clients themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, what was I going to ask there? Actually, let's just go. I'm going to skip back, and I'm going to get back to this question because I had a super good one for you. But what's been your most successful marketing campaign so far with like all of your clients?
Yeah, so to be honest, my most successful is probably not one that people teach you online or anything. I've gotten my most clients from actually partnering with other businesses. And I partner with complementary businesses such as influencer marketing platform is one of them, a content marketing agency is another, and even a virtual reality marketing agency is a third. Now, my agency focuses on building websites and running pay-per-click campaigns. So I would kind of partner with these entrepreneurs who we just would meet for coffee and share our struggles and our wins with their businesses. And then we'd start sending each other clients. And if I actually think about how I've gotten most of my clients, it's from referrals from my kind of partner businesses. So that's actually how I've gotten the most business. And that's not technically a marketing strategy. So I'll answer the actual question too. My most successful marketing strategy was actually a cold email campaign where I hired a researcher to make a really detailed list of real estate agents in my area, and like everything from their most recent listing, the office they work at, the area they specialize in. And then I did a mail out that had all this detailed information, and I got a good response rate, ended up getting, I got 3 clients in total from that. So in terms of one marketing strategy, that was probably my best.
Okay, got it. I've actually done something pretty similar, but I did it myself. I like that. Like I've had the idea of once after I did it myself, I could have outsourced it. But what I did really was just made a list of like a couple different niches, like gyms, chiropractors, and dentists, and just like made a list of all the best ones in my area. And then like if I could have just hired someone to do that, that could have saved me some time, and then I could just sort through them real quickly myself and kind of figure out like, hey, what's the best client that I actually want to work with. And what I actually did that week was I chose the best one or the biggest one in each industry that I wanted to work with the most, and like went in and brought them cookies that week, and was like, can I meet with you and possibly run a Facebook ad for you for a week in exchange for a video testimonial? And actually worked out pretty well and got like 5 clients from that. As far as awesome. Like marketing campaign, like I that's super valuable. I like that you kind of took like a different approach and just partnering with people rather than necessarily, because that makes it like the hard part about this is definitely like finding clients cold is super hard because it's so hard to build that trust.
That's the biggest challenge for everyone starting a business is getting the clients. In the beginning, it's also you don't have a very big budget for your own marketing, so you're kind of looking for free ways to go and get clients. And I have just cold approached businesses, me walking up. I've done a lot of cold calling. I've gotten some results from all of those. And honestly, I'm still trying to refine my exact funnel for getting clients in the door. But right now, I mean, honestly, referrals are the best kind of business. And I do get referrals from my past clients. It's been almost 2 years, which has been enough time to sort of get that ball rolling. And I'm constantly kind of experimenting with new client acquisition strategies as well.
Awesome.
I think for the cold emails, if you have to make the list yourself, I don't even think it's really worth the time, because you'd spend like half a day making the list. And that type of work you can contract out really, really cheaply, just because there's people that will do data entry and research for like crazy affordable rates.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that out next time I get something like that set up. Like as far as like a marketing campaign for one of your clients though, what has been the most successful?
For my clients, my most successful campaign has been for an e-commerce client, and it's simply Facebook ads to landing pages to a checkout page. We're getting them a good return on their investment. And within the Facebook advertising campaign, what we're doing is layered lookalike targeting. So we create a lookalike audience based on their successful conversions already, but then on top of that, we add second layers of targeting. So let's say 1% lookalike female lives in California, Then we do 1% look like male lives in New York. We have all these going through, and that's how we've been able to get the most success for them.
Okay, awesome. Actually, after this live stream, would you mind taking a look at one of my e-com things? Because I've been struggling with it. I've been like barely breaking even with the ROI.
Yeah,
And it's gone
for
down a little
sure.
bit recently. Like I've started though that cost is starting to go up. So would you mind taking a quick look at that?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Okay,
Do
awesome. I
that.
appreciate that. There was something about. Let me ask you real quick. What was the hardest part of like finding those people to like work with your agency?
Like the people I hired.
Yes.
The hardest part, I would just say the realization that it's a very time-consuming process hiring them. You sort of, before you've hired anyone, you think, okay, I'll post an ad, do like a day or two of interviews, and then I'll be good to go. But there's a lot that goes into it, such as even designing the job posting, I think took me a full day. And then just fielding all the email inquiries, reading through the resumes, seeing which ones were worth my time took a lot of time as well. Scheduling all the first interviews, like coming up with the questions you're going to ask, then writing down their answers and comparing them to each other and trying to actually decide from that which ones are good, which ones are not so good. Then the second interviews, it's like it takes a long time, and from the time you make a job posting to the time you bring someone on, I mean, I budget at least 2 weeks for that, because you also got to schedule it in with their schedule. I mean, it's not like you do a first interview and then you say, okay, second interview is tomorrow at 9. Like they might have jobs, they might not necessarily be able to do that. So that whole scheduling, that whole hiring process it's a big investment of time.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of like what I've started to notice as well. But I mean, it ends
Yeah.
up being worth it if you get the right person for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the last question, and I'm gonna let you go. But
Sounds good.
like this is something I've had a problem with too. Like, how have you gone about? So you said you have people that basically handle your clients. So how have you gone transferring like the communication? Like you probably, you assuming get like the deals closed and stuff like that. But how do you go
Yeah.
about like transferring the client to your like client manager? How does that process usually work out for the
Yeah,
client?
that's a good question, actually. So I would call it like the onboarding process. And it's a bit of, it can be a delicate topic because the business owner signed on with you, and
Yeah.
they may not necessarily be super excited about learning about the fact they're not going to be working directly with you all the time, despite the fact that for a business to scale, that's necessary. But the way I do that is towards the end of the sales process, kind of as we're signing on, I go through the process. And the way I say it is, okay, so first step first, we're going to have a consultation. We're going to outline the project and your goals. And then, we're a 6-person agency, so you'll be assigned a primary digital marketer as your first point of contact. And in addition to that, I will be CC'd on all the emails, and I'll be there as a point of contact as well. So it'll be me and then your one digital marketer that you'll be working with. And I haven't had any objections with that so far. I think that sounds pretty reasonable. At the size of my agency, I don't mind being CC'd on the emails back and forth. Honestly, like I don't have to read all of them, just to show the client that I am paying attention to their project. And then what I will do is I will have a meeting with my digital marketer to brief her on the project. And then generally speaking, depending on the dynamic of the client, I'll either do a 3-way call with them, a conference call where we talk about the project plan and I introduce them to my digital marketer, or I'll just do an email and sort of CC them all in. So either of those work, as long as the client feels comfortable that the person they're working with is up to date with everything they've told you. What you want to avoid is having your digital marketer re-ask the client questions that you already asked them in the discovery process, because then they're going to feel like wasting their time. So it's just like really educating, and a proper onboarding process is key. And I mean, with the digital marketer, these people are actually talking to the client on the phone and through email. So one of the probably the most important thing I considered when hiring is their professional communication skills.
Okay, that's super solid. That's extremely helpful, and there's so much value in that. So I think the main thing I got out of it was it's just always about having like a process behind everything, and always being really upfront and really good at your communication skills, like letting the client know their expectations, that hey, you're not going to be necessarily working with me all the time, but I will be there available to help you if needed. So I really appreciate you taking the time to get on this call, Sean. It's like a ton of value for me, and I think it will be a ton of value for a lot of other people out there.
Yeah,
You guys
absolutely.
you guys should definitely check out his channel. I'll put it in the description. It's the Student Entrepreneur. So it's not actually Sean Wiggins. You have to search the Student Entrepreneur or get the link in the description. Tons of videos on his channel that are like the same value. That's exactly what we just shared in this video. So make sure you check that channel out. And thank you once again, Sean, for getting on here. I hope you guys have a great day. And of course, if you have any questions,
thanks,
leave
guys.
them down
Really
in the
appreciate
comments
it, Billy.
below. Yeah, of course. Have a good one, Sean.
Awesome. You too.
Yeah. Bye.
See ya.